A few days ago, someone told me that it seems like my ADHD was not affecting me in any negative ways. The person who said it thought it was a compliment. Unfortunately, the person who said it was also my new psychiatrist.
There's a split second where I'm kind of like, thank you. But immediately after that, I'm thinking, you have no idea what it's actually costing me to appear. Like, I don't have ADHD.
It runs right along with that lovely ableist comment. You don't look like you have ADHD. Today, we're talking about high-functioning ADHD and what gets overlooked when people judge how much ADHD affects you by how capable you appear. This is Angry on the Inside. I'm Jess.
And I'm Jeannine. We're both certified ADHD coaches, but this podcast isn't coaching.
It's not therapy and it's not medical advice.
It's real, honest conversations about being women with late diagnosed ADHD and everything that goes along with it.
Take what resonates and leave the rest. What they're seeing is on the outside. A version of you that showed up, got it done, that seems quote unquote normal. They're not seeing the 45 minutes before where you couldn't actually implement and start the transition into this next part of your day. They don't see the crash after where you can't do anything else for the rest of the day.
And they definitely don't see like that constant math you have to do in your head of like, okay, how much energy do I have right now? What do I have to absolutely get done today? What can I not do today? What can I cancel? Am I going to crash at 2 or crash at 3 today?
Isn't it funny that there's its own set of ADHD math when half of us have dyscalculia anyway?
ADHD, the gift that keeps on giving.
A lot of doctors, organizations, books, they tag us as high functioning, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. It usually means the opposite.
It means it's happening, but it's costing you more than anyone, sometimes even yourself, can realize.
The word high functioning gets thrown around a lot, like it's a category, when really it's more of an external observation. To someone else, you are meeting expectations. Things look fine. And that's pretty much it.
It doesn't say anything about like how we got there. A lot of us getting there looks like overthinking everything, second guessing everything, pushing through when your brain is clearly like, I'm done. But somehow you find a way to push through.
What it really is, it's a really heavy layer of compensation. A lot of confusing systems and overpreparing, us working twice as hard, using twice as much energy to look like we are normal.
That's the part that took me a long time to understand, because I always thought if I'm getting it done, I must be fine. But I wasn't factoring in all that exhaustion or how easily it could all fall apart.
Exactly. It's not stable. No matter what side you're on, it's important to realize it's not stable. High functioning should be called overfunctioning. Maybe then people wouldn't dismiss the extensive damage that it actually causes.
Once you've shown people you can do something, there's this constant pressure to maintain it.
You do get locked into that expectation. And internally, you sort of think, well, I did it last time, so I should be able to do it again. We can easily should the bed on any of these. We want to hang on to it so freaking bad. But no matter what, even if the last time you were completely depleted after, it does not keep you from saying in your mind, well, I did it the last time, so I can do it again.
Yeah. Or that the reason you did it last time was that you were running on adrenaline. For me, that's a big one. There are so many things I've done in my life that I thought were proof that I can do this. I've got to act together. But really, I was activated.
I think about that, running on adrenaline. And I'm not sure if you experienced this, but when I was in my 20s and even early 30s, I would constantly find myself saying, I do so much better when I'm under stress. I do great with stress, but it's healthy stress. I look back at some of the things I used to say and saying healthy stress, God, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Talking this bullshit. Because really with that adrenaline, it wasn't healthy stress. I freaking love that shit because I was addicted to it because I was like, wee, adrenaline. That's why my nervous system is so fried now. That's why I went into burnout, is that type of behavior. That's nervous system, not sustainability. And adrenaline is not the same thing as capacity. You want it to be, and it feels so good. It feels better than capacity, unfortunately, but it's so easy to be addicted to.
Yeah. You're labeled as, oh, you're good under pressure. I do my best work. How many people say that? I do my best work under pressure.
That's another one I used to say.
She's great under pressure. And definitely I did that a lot more when I was younger, or maybe could get away with it a lot when I was younger. But as I got older and life got more complicated, it's hard. I can't do that as much as I used to. That adrenaline doesn't seem to last as long, which is confusing too. It takes us too long to realize like, oh shit, I'm no longer I'm so good under pressure is like not holding up. But our ADHD brains like to hold on to. Remember the one time 5 years ago when I was really good under pressure? Oh, I can do it. I can just do it. Until I can't.
Because we do take it as a compliment during those times because we don't know that we have ADHD. Even after we find out we have ADHD, until we really start to process it, we still think it's a freaking compliment because we love to hear those things. That's what we've attached ourselves to for so many years. And really, you're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. You can kick it into overdrive, but you're borrowing from a system that's eventually going to become maxed out. Once you hit max overload, then you're in deep trouble because the burnout, the real true burnout, it knocks you on your ass, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. There is an identity piece here. We're talking about labeling. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm using the term high functioning. High functioning is not a diagnosis, but I'm using it because we understand the term. But high functioning actually means typically high masking. That's how I'm using the word high functioning. I know it can mean high masking. It can mean that we're creating an identity subsequent to what we are actually doing. Once you consider yourself high functioning, once you recognize yourself as that, it becomes really hard to acknowledge when you are struggling. And that's where that hyper independence sort of pokes its head into your life.
If you think about it, what does that mean about you? If you're not the one who holds it together, who's good under pressure, it could feel like everything has really started to unravel.
The feel of unraveling, there's a lot of fear in that for me. The world tends to reward the version of you that's performing well. That was not necessarily the version of me that was being honest about what's hard or the toll that it was physically taking on my body.
You are trying so hard to keep it together because you've convinced yourself and everybody. And it's also lonely. You keep that mask up, that armor up. Be like, oh, I'm functioning just fine. I'm doing great. Inside, you're really thinking, I am barely freaking keeping this together. I mean, it was like this weekend, I had my friend over for dinner and I had told you like, oh, this is a great day because I had tried to clean out my closets yesterday and my house is a mess, but I'll be motivated. And just didn't quite perform under the pressure. And when I texted you, like, what is it? You can invite people over for dinner. And then you get like pissed off at them for coming over because you're under all this pressure. Like, oh, I know this person thinks I have my act together. I can't let them in and the house isn't looking nice and I'm not looking nice and dinner's not ready and all of that. And it's exhausting. And I think it is lonely because at least I can feel that, I start to feel that distance of where I'm not saying like, oh, by the way, I was, about to cancel on you. I'm just like, oh, everything's great. Oh, what did you do today? Oh, nothing. I was just, meanwhile, I've just thrown every single thing in the closet. And you pray they don't open it. Yeah.
I think it becomes lonely because you feel like you can't be honest and open. You can't be comfortable. You have to be a version of yourself that this person accepts of you. If you're not a version, and they're not going to want you around, or they're not going to love you, or they're not going to give you the attention or the accolades that you're hoping for. That's how we can be so lonely in a room of people, period. Lots of us say that because we can't be who we are. Exhaustion is its own kind of impact when it comes to high functioning. It's not I'm tired. It becomes system level fatigue. We're managing attention, emotions, time, perception. We're spinning plates basically, waiting for one to fall down. And they do fall. We think that everybody sees that plate fall. Most times they don't even, but in our minds, we are screwed. It's so much active regulation that you're trying to accomplish.
You're always slightly bracing. Even when things are going well, when are they going to notice when I start dropping all the plates?
I wish I would have realized earlier in my life that constant feeling of impending doom that I had for so freaking long was actually my nervous system and my ADHD and my autism. I felt very secluded, like I was the only one. I felt like I was psychic, like I would have this intense feeling that something was just going to go horribly wrong and then it would. That's not me predicting the future. That's me sometimes generating an outcome.
It's not even just doing, it's the holding. It's trying to hold everything in place.
I don't think it's realistic to say, I'll just stop being high functioning. We also know not a realistic lens. Being high functioning, it's not a horrible thing. I'm not trying to trash it.
There are parts of it that are our strengths. When we can get in that mode of high functioning, we are getting stuff done, achieving goals, moving forward with our lives. I think there is a shift in how you relate to it.
I agree, because you start factoring in the cost. Not can I do this, but what will this take from me? It's spoon theory all over again. It's something I swear by when it comes to ADHD. It becomes nervous system regulation. Spoon theory is, when it comes down to it, how much can I actually handle without messing myself up? Yes, I want to get up and do this. Yes, I want to use my energy. Yes, I want to accomplish things, but what is the cost of the accomplishment? How do we weigh that?
That question alone, though, really changes everything. There are so many things I can do that I don't actually want to keep paying for. I can do a lot more. I could scramble and try to make my house look perfect when someone's coming over, but is that really where I want to spend my energy? Or do you want to have energy that when my friend comes over, I actually enjoy the visit versus thinking, oh God, I'm so fucking tired. By the way, they didn't notice. No one's commented, oh my gosh, your house is so put together. It's always so clean. Yeah.
He didn't walk straight in and grab that closet door and swing it open.
And then answered it like Miss Mary Homemaker, like, oh, everything's great. Yeah, I just lounged around. I didn't do anything special today. Meanwhile, frantically texting Jess, like, oh my God, what have I done? Is it too late to cancel? They probably left their house. Can I cancel?
If they're in the driveway, is it rude to text and say...
And why the hell are they coming over anyway? I know I invited them, but shouldn't they have known? They should have said no.
With these types of references and being able to place things into a different lens, it gives a structure that you can lean into, that you can eventually create as sustainable. Not just impressive from the outside, but safe and self-considerate from the inside. The intro might seem a little campy, but it was true. A couple weeks ago, I went in for my new psychiatrist because I moved into a new state. We talk about building relationships with our doctors and how sometimes we're in places where we get what we get. We can't just walk away from that person. We have to build a relationship. And I will tell you, as soon as that came out of her mouth, well, you don't look like you're being affected by your ADHD negatively at all. Keep in mind, I was there to establish as a new patient, but I was also there to establish to get my medication, which I'm very open about it. I take a stimulant, but that was kind of close to crushing. I hadn't had any of my medication for a couple of days because my last prescription hadn't been filled yet because of the shortages. I was driving back in the next day, back to where I was to get my medication and be able to get all set. This was to make sure that I was ahead of things for the first time, actually ahead of it, trying to make sure I would have my medication and not have a slump. And the 2 days I don't have my medication, and this woman is telling me, well, you don't look like you're affected by ADHD at all. And I was like, okay.
It's so funny. I'm here for a prescription because it does help me maintain, right? It's kind of like someone saying, oh, well, you're not in pain anymore, so you don't need any more pain medication. Well, yeah, until this stuff wears off. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't go in with my list of questions because I was like, no, I don't want to be inundative. I don't want to seem like I'm pushing her around or anything like that. I don't want that to happen. So I was trying to stay calm and chill about it, but it definitely backfired in that way. And after she said it, I looked straight at her and I'm like, that's because I'm high masking. I said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to sleep for the rest of the day. You don't realize how much energy it takes for me to come in here. And I came in the afternoon. I'm chronically ill. Do you understand how hard it is for me to be here in the afternoon and actually be able to maintain my speech patterns? You know, that kind of shit just pisses me off so bad because this is the kind of stuff that you have to go up against with the medical community. And you wonder why we all suffer so terribly from medical gaslighting. Then you feel distraught, like panicked. And then she's like, your blood pressure's high. Well, yeah, no shit, lady. My blood pressure's really freaking high. I think you're going to withhold my medication from me and that I'm going to be screwed. So what do you expect from me? It's such a fucking disconnect. And it makes me so angry with that. You know what I mean?
I find this too, where I feel like why do we feel like we need to mask with the doctor who's supposed to be helping us? For me, I know, shouldn't speak for everyone, where I never quite tell them exactly how bad it is. I always kind of hold something a little back, like, oh, well, yeah, I've been stressed about this, or I've been struggling with this, but I never give them the full picture. Like, I still have to remain this like high functioning, all put together person, but
Right.
that's how much is baked into our brains of this is how we're supposed to act. This is the way we're supposed to be.
I think it's kind of two-sided. I do think it's the way we think we're supposed to be. I think it is equivalent to going to the gynecologist and folding your underwear nice and neat and then shoving it into your clothes so that nobody can see it, even though the person's about to look up your hoo-ha.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to make sure that I wore ultra clean underwear, my fancy underwear, my nice, good, clean underwear. I'm going to make sure I have that. Then I'm going to fold it and I'm going to shove it in between my clothes so that nobody will ever see it, but they know it's there. And I'm sure that they recognize how fancy it is because obviously I would have not come unprepared to my gynecologist. Same freaking thing with going to everybody else. You look too sick, they say you're faking it. You look too good, you're obviously not having a problem. You know, there's no happy medium with that. And I do believe that non-neurodiverse people experience this as well. They just don't realize it because they don't have to go to the doctor as much, and they are still in a point in their lives where they take what their doctor says at face value because they're still in a position where they feel that their doctor is putting them first and that they have their best interest at heart, that they are the expert. But once you find out that that's not how that really works, it's really impactful. It's really scary. It's very stressful. And it does make you wonder why. Like, why am I masking? So I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to keep this person as a psychiatrist. I'm going to reach out to my previous psychiatrist and talk to them about how to respond. But it is one of those things where I'm in a position of, if I reply too harshly, will they withhold my medication? Will they not do this or that? And it's so fucking annoying and exhausting. I'm right back into a space where I'm having to be high masking and high functioning. I'm stuck having to placate this woman and having to regulate her ass when she's the one that's supposed to be the medical professional. It's rough.
If this episode really lands anywhere, it's this idea that if you're exhausted, but everything looks great from the outside, there's probably a reason.
You're putting in your best efforts. You don't realize that you're doing more than other people can see. And you're doing more than what the standard average person does to begin with. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who sees how much you accomplish, but may not see what it cost you to accomplish it. Looking like you're functioning does not mean you aren't struggling, and you don't have to completely fall apart for others to take your experience seriously.
Until next time, remember, you're not alone and you're not the only one who's angry on the inside.